writing The Lucky One. This was last June. I was sitting there thinking about, okay, now it's time for me to come up with a new novel, right? A new novel. So what I try to do is to try to make these novels as different as I can so that you always feel like you're reading a new story. So one of the ways I do that is to change the ages of the characters. So I looked back on the previous 3 books that I'd written, Dear John, The Choice, and The Lucky One, and I had characters in their early 20s and late 20s, their late 20s, early 30s, early 40s, late 20s, early 30s, and then the movie Nights in Rodanthe came out last year with characters in their 40s and 50s. And for some people, maybe not you, that was the first time they'd ever heard the name Nicholas Sparks. So I said, I'm not going to do any characters between the age of 20 and 50. So I said I can either do teenagers, or I can do something, more mature, in their 50s, 60s, 70s. So I was sitting there thinking that that's what I was going to do. I was leaning toward the teenage story because The Notebook came out in 2004 and it had been a long time since I'd written A Walk to Remember. Seemed like a long time. So I was leaning toward a teenage story, which I'd last done, years and years ago. And again, I was saying to myself, I want it to be different than A Walk to Remember. So if A Walk to Remember was about a teenage boy, this one has to be about a teenage girl. So that's where my thoughts were when the phone rang. And it was Jennifer Gipgott from Offspring Entertainment. I had no idea who this person was. And she said, I'm Adam Shankman's sister. I'll tell you that in a minute. Disney just called him. They said Miley Cyrus wants to do, we have a 2-movie deal. She wants to do a movie that's not a Hannah Montana movie, but she wants a real role. She loved A Walk to Remember. She would like to do something with that. So she called Adam, who directed A Walk to Remember. And we were just kind of wondering if you had anything laying around. And seriously, and I said, no. But it's funny you should mention that because I was thinking about doing a novel about a teenage girl. So I didn't commit to it then. That was in June. And then took me till probably the end of July to come up with the story. And then by then I was ready. I went out, met with the people from Disney, met with Miley Cyrus, and talked to their family, and they pretty much hired me to adapt the screenplay, or to write the screenplay, and then they brought the adaptation rights to the novel. But then they said, well, because of Miley's schedule, would you mind writing the screenplay first? I said, no, I don't care, because I already had the idea. It was going to be what I wanted it to be. You might say, how much influence did Miley have? Not very much. I write novels. I think, what did I do because Miley was in it? I made her hair brown. And I added a musical element to the novel, but not guitar, and not song. Concert piano. Nothing she's ever done before. And I got a funny story about that. I'll tell you. It was kind of cute. Anyway, I was talking to Miley. So I was talking to Miley. Yeah, that's how it is, right? And I said, so did you know how to play piano? And because she had to do this for her role, she said, no. She said, I had to learn piano, and it was so hard, to learn to play Beethoven. It took a long time. I'm like, well, how long did it take? She's like, well, I was working and stuff. I was filming and things. It was like every day after work for like 4 days. She's a musical prodigy. You got to give her that. She's a wonderful, wonderful young lady. So anyway, so I wrote the screenplay, finished that up in December. I was here last October. I was in the midst of writing that then. Finished the screenplay up in December. January, went through the rewrite. Then I went ahead and started writing the novel. Finished the novel. In total, proofing and everything, July 6th. Yeah, not that long ago. I drive my publishers nuts with my, what can I do, you know? That's it. So, that's the story behind the last song. Oh, I did let her name the main character. That was not the original name in the screenplay. I really didn't care what the name was, but I wanted Ronnie to feel like she was part of the project. So I said, go ahead and pick the name. So she picked the name Ronnie. Ronnie was, and it was a really wonderful reason. It was, her grandfather had passed away. And he's a traveling preacher, Billy Ray Cyrus's dad, very close. His name was Ronnie. So she named it in honor of her dead grandfather. So then, of course, I said, Ronnie. Veronica, got it. So it's Veronica Miller, but I think you read the name Veronica in the flat, and that's it. It's Ronnie everywhere else. So that's the name, and that's where that came from. So so that movie has already filmed over the summer. They did that. Who else is in it? You got Miley Cyrus, Kelly Preston, Greg Kinnear, Liam Hemsworth. You don't know him. He's a good-looking kid, though. He's of course the guy she falls in love with, and he had a real tough road to break into entertainment. He moved over from Australia, lived in LA for like 4 weeks, and then got the lead in this film. Just like, yeah, more of the struggles. It's like her piano. Yeah, tough what some people have to do. I will have another novel next year. No, I do not know what it is about. No idea.
Yeah, you do.
I do not. I have, it's down between, I don't know, I'm bouncing 3 ideas around, and I think about one, can't get some of these plot elements, get totally frustrated, say, it's not going to be that one, I go to the second one, try and work through that one, then I'll go to the third one. First one to the finish line wins. That's it. And so I don't know which one it's going to be. That will be out next fall. And let's see. What else? My brother's fine, for those of you who asked. He's fine. He's doing well. Now, for those, again, who've been here, I do have a couple of things I often talk about. Not long, but I think it's kind of a lot of fun to hear about people behind the author, you know, because I am a person. I do other things too. I don't just sit around.